could be anything that you want. I could be anything that you want.
Back in the mid-90s, playing games on the Nintendo. Had the music pumping tunes of house, trance and techno. Young fellas in the estate were living at that tempo. Joyriding Corollas, Fiestas and Cinquecentos. Tracksuits, hoodies and nightcaps was the dress code. Sharing cigarettes, you had to call for the next blow. Yeah, it's the name is Costello, aka Cosmello. James Costello, the real name. Been rapping for years, since I'm about 13, 14, 32 now, so it's a very long time. In the crowd, street literature, it's with the lads from Working Class Records. Originally set it up with Lunatic and GI back in 2008, 2009. Lunatic passed away in June 09, but still keeping a lid for himself and good mates with most of the local heads in Dublin, like L.O.R.D, doing a gig with him tonight. Jambo, Veritas, Sons Phonetic. I've a good few of the lads all over the spots to name a few, but yeah, still keeping a lid here anyway, and Irish hip hop to the max.
So my name's Trigger, representing north side of Cork City. Mupped all the boys out there, and I've been doing this for about say 8 years now. Properly, I'd say about 6 years, releasing music videos and clacking up the views on YouTube and stuff like that. Yeah, check my shit out on YouTube, Bandcamp. Double Perspective is my last album. I've got more stuff on the way, so check that out.
Things that worked out well for us. I suppose I'm still upcoming as an artist, you know, because I haven't hit where I want to hit yet, but just on a personal basis, some of the goals that I've ticked off the boxes. I used to tell people when I was a kid I was going to meet the Wu-Tang Clan. I was just such a big fan of them, and people be like, yeah, I'm smoking too much of that stuff. But then, sure enough, I got to support them twice. There was 5 of them there the first time, and then the second time was just Raekwon, Ghostface and Jizza, but was chilling backstage and blazing the joint with Jizza and all. So
I'm hearing the lyrics in my head from that song.
Young Apprentice, yeah, and that's what's crazy.
It's Hip Hop Slave, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Hip Hop Slave, yeah, I mentioned that one, innit?
Yeah. So I got asked to come on and do an interview, and they ended up playing like a couple of my songs, whatever like that. I was on kind of lesser scale radio stations before that now, like Galaxy FM and a few of those ones, but like Kiss FM was like the mecca of the radio station. Like people didn't even know it was pirate radio. There was just like, there was Red FM and then there was Kiss FM, like it would have been parallel, but like Kiss FM would have been like from ages, I'd say 12 years of age, like probably 30, that would have been their target audience, so that was like perfect for me. So they played my first release song and it was around the same time, Top Gear, and a couple of months later then I released the track Let 'Em Know, and for some reason the radio station picked it up, and I remember getting texts off the station saying like the song's after getting like, I don't know, was it like 27 requests to be played in the first few hours of it, and I was like whoa, I was like starting to like blow up because I released a video that day, and I think now it's on about 80,000 views on YouTube, which is good enough, like, but that probably would have been what I consider like one of my kind of first movements within the scene, and then from there then I suppose, like I always said, Cork was my first target audience, the city and the county obviously. Then I wanted to go to like, I wanted to be considered an Irish artist, but at the start obviously, like when you're about 16, 17, 18, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do it for the lads in like the terrace and, you know, on the block, like.
Just sticking to it, just constantly writing and showing up to gigs and showing up to like music gen classes, and just constantly chipping away, like just not thinking anything of like, not having any expectations of anything in the future, just focusing solely on the art. Like I thought I was the best, I thought I was just gonna make it, you know, that's just what happens, like you just write and you get good and eventually you'll make it, no need of anything else. Like
definitely with the scene, it's evolved a lot from, if you could even call it a scene back in the day, there was nobody really rapping, like there was just bedroom rappers really, and I think Lunatic was the first one that like brought out the real Dublin accent. Everybody was rapping in American accents back in the day, and Lunatic was one of the first people to come out and just sound gully and raw with it. And like he was supporting Snoop Dogg back in the day in 2004. It was like come full circle, because now Versatile are going on actually comedy. I know like, they do comedy, like but Versatile is actually going on tour now with Snoop Dogg. So it's crazy, they're actually on the bill, like, you know what I mean? So Yeah, it's crazy, and there's so much. There's drill artists coming out. I'm not a big fan of the drill, but that's a big thing that's buzzing with a lot of the youth now. And then just even the boom bap, the traditional stuff. Myself and a lot of lads been holding it down. I'd say definitely be as super creative as you can. Be patient. You know, try and hit every single outlet that you can. Like, in respect to get your YouTube videos there, get your Instagram pages hopping, Facebook pages hopping. Try and contact PR if you can. If you have to pay for it yourself, go do it. Or if you get in the industry to get yourself in the paper and all, to really boost yourself, because no promotion, no publicity is bad publicity, as they say. But the don'ts, all I could really say is don't rush it. There's a lot of artists that of course everybody wants to get their stuff out and be heard, so you might tend to like rush through this track and then try and get your next one out and not fully develop your lyricism or your beat production level. And just take your time, because there's no rush with it. Be patient, like I was saying, and you'll be surprised where it could take you, because then over bleeding mad countries over the far side of the world. I was in South Africa with the music, Russia, Switzerland, Austria, France, and this is all to do with the music. I was in the film Broken Song back in the day, and that was getting shown around a few spots around the world, and I got to go out and do gigs on my own. So
I suppose a few things that would have kind of maybe stood in my way, maybe more kind of mentally or anything else, is just like the whole stigma maybe of Irish hip hop. Well, a lot of people who came before me, they would have kind of probably obviously, gone through a bit more worse stuff than I have. When I turned about 15, 16, there was a guy in my class and he was like, did you hear this new album belonged to a rapper from Cork? And I was like, a rapper from Cork? In my own head I was like, I thought I was literally the only one who was a rapper from Cork. And at the time I was only like writing verses. I didn't actually rap them or show them to anyone else. And I was like, give me a loan of it. Turned out it was GMC. The album was called Dig and Hole. I think that was in like 2006 or something. From then meeting him later on, I kind of realised that, like looking up stuff on YouTube and stuff, I would have got a lot of like negative comments and stuff like that, saying like, who's this white guy trying to rap, or not even that, it's like, who's this Cork fella trying to be like someone from America or blah blah. But then as the years went on, then I think they kind of like made people realise, it's alright to be from Cork, and you're still a talented artist. Like the way I always see it, as in like, we talk about the same thing that the American artists talk about. So like, we're from a place that doesn't have much money. We've got like a lot to talk about. We do it in our own accents. Like our own people produce the music, and like we incorporate Irish themes and Irish language spoken, blah blah, into everything. So it's like the only thing that we're using is like the art form, which is hip hop, which developed in New York. But like jazz developed in like New York as well, and you don't see people who are like from like Latvia or any other country saying like, oh, you're doing jazz music, you're trying to be from New York. No, it's just like it became popularized in America.
I really got into it by chance. I didn't really get into it like, as in like, oh, I'm gonna make a career out of this. I got into it just because I just started writing one day, because me and my friend were very competitive at that shit, and then one day he was like, oh, I'll rap. I tried out doing, so I wrote a rap, and then I basically started from there. And it was just a hobby. I didn't really take it serious because I wasn't good. But then when I got a bit good, I was like, alright, so I'll go. I went down to this like music chain, basically. I went down with the music chain, and then ever since then I've been taking it actually serious. So
I try and look at the positives of everything, to see the good in everything. Could definitely say there's a lot of negatives. Well, I just think that it's just small-mindedness really with the negatives as such. But it's just a big positive for social media. That's how most people get themselves out. That's the major platform. So if the radio stations aren't playing us, there's definitely not playing music channels playing us or anything, you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, that's basically what we've been using since I first came out, and yeah, there's a good few heads that recognise us for who I am, so definitely give it 2 thumbs up. So it's one of the best platforms for all of us to get out, like, so.
Class records, I pledge allegiance, and through the music is kept prestigious. Got me sweet and everything I want, and I stay motivated in me quest to reach it. Double on icon of fresh Adidas, blaze up your weed and respect me genius.
Like, the reason record labels are basically done away with, and it's all like people can be independent now is because of social media. It's like it's the main driver of, the scene all over the world. So that's like the main thing that keeps it going, I think, because without the scene would still be like passing around CDs or at shows and all that type of stuff. So reach basically. It's good for reach.
2nd in November 1998. A quiet baby sleeping with a smile on his face. Not a tear in his eye, just a face full of joy. Unbeknownst to him, he would live a tough life, but for now, it's just a clean slate. Not yet corrupted by this harsh mean play. So it's all fun and games till it changed. Yeah, it was all fun and games.
People realise then there is an Irish hip-hop scene. That would lead to like people saying, like, for example, versatile, they're rappers, right? Comedy rap, whatever you want to consider them. People who don't know the Irish hip hop scene will probably say they're rappers in general. You know, they just consider them rappers from Ireland. Then they might start looking at more stuff, as in like a lot of artists, not even artists, a lot of people that listen to my music, the first thing they say is, I hate Irish hip hop, but I love your music. I mean, that's probably the biggest comment that I'm after getting off of like anyone who's listening to my stuff. I don't know why, but it's hard to say really like what blossomed the scene. I suppose a lot of work from a lot of artists from like Class A's, you know, back in the day would have probably brought the scene to more recognition. There's a few shit documentaries that came on the R.D where they were trying to take the piss out of it and make the scene look like, you know, kind of a, oh, we only do like gigs in like fucking dead end backstreet places and, you know, where no one's gonna go, and like that's not what the scene is. You know, like I performed in front of like, and like there's a lot of artists, as I said, like Jordan always performed like in the Olympia Theatre, and you know, like Versatile now we're after selling out like the Tree Arena and they're going on tour with like Snoop Dogg and stuff like that. Like that kind of thing in itself will make like, you know, an impression and a big name for Irish hip hop anyway.
Here's why you better watch who you walking. No lie, you better watch who you talk with. More trials, fellas chopped up and salted. That hard life chatter doesn't matter when you're black.
Okay, so my name is Dante, some call me Sarah. I actually initially started doing music literally 6 months ago. I have only started MCing 6 months ago. I have my sensei, Rosco Sauce, teaches me everything. But yeah, that's about it really. It's my gateway. It's a hard question because it's a yes and a no. I mean, it is hard because it is such a male-dominated scene, but the way I've sort of came into it, I didn't want to have that mindset. I'm just another MC. I don't see genders. I'm just another MC. So for most females that are already in the scene, they would take that thick. They would take certain things quite thick. But I mean, it's just up to you whether you take offense to it, isn't it? So I don't know. I think, personally, I don't see any harm. I don't see any threat by any genders at all. I'm just here to rap.
Name's Skeet, by the way, if I didn't say it. Yeah, just the older I got, I just realised, right, I need to put something out here before it gets too late, sort of thing.
See, I don't want to be like cheesy about it, but it actually saved my life. Like it proper saved my life. If Rosco Sauce didn't introduce MCing and the scene and everybody around, I'm sorry, because he's literally been fucking debagging himself. I can't have a serious fucking interview.
It was so nice.
I'm literally in the middle
You were
bigging up.
exposing yourself. I thought I'd expose myself.
It's pretty much like the first time you get on stage and you just see people react. It's like the first time you grab the microphone and just see like a reaction. There's something there that just like drugs. You get a high from it, seeing somebody just pay attention at that moment. You know, it's just noise until you say something, just sort of, you know. And from that I was like, right, fuck, I want to pursue this shit. I want that feeling more. Like, I used to like draw for blow off steam, like I would draw, and then I started tattooing, and then that became work, became stress. I needed a new way to blow off steam, so just writing and getting your thoughts out somewhere in a way that you can express yourself in whatever the fuck way you want to?
Yes, I do. I think it's on a general up, whether it escalates fast or a steady pace in 10 years, 15 years. I think it definitely will become, it's becoming more available to people just through technology.
You don't even have to talk to anybody, and you already know so much about them from the way they express themselves through the music. So it's like a general understanding between everybody that you meet, you know, at those events. You know, you all understand each other on that level. You know that you have been through your struggles, and there's an understanding, like a bond kind of thing, where you just kind of like, there's a respect that we're all out here fighting our battles. You know, it may not be the same, but we're all here to just fight for ourselves and fight for our freedom to speak.
So I've been through some darkness, left me weak, couldn't sleep, made me heartless. Wouldn't speak, bite my cheek, need the harness. Changed my technique, didn't get it off the carpet. I'm an artist with all of the problems. You call them demons, but I call them goblins. Cause they eat on my inside.
My name's David, I go by the artist name Dsgrace. I'm one half Wicked Android, and I also run Elixir with Andy. I've been going to local hip hop nights since I first started running. I heard about Antidote MCs that Andy ran. I think that was probably 2012 I first started going to those. Then from there I went on, I made an album with a guy called Noise Thievery, and I got invited to play one of Andy's things on the 4/4 banner. And then from there, after going up to a night in Portrush with the DBMCs at their Gyro night, I agreed to do a return leg for a gig from Belfast, and I did a show for those guys and us. And then that's when me and Andy decided the best thing to do would be to join our efforts together as one thing, and that's why Elixir came about.
Andy Hassan has been involved in Irish hip hop since 2005-06. And been running nights in Portrush initially, then moved to Belfast and started Antidote MCs night 2011. We started Elixir 3 years ago. It's done 3 years now, 4 nights a year, all Irish artists with the UK headliner.
For me, I suppose I've been lucky that we're more of a group of friends than like a collective, or it's not really a work thing, so it doesn't really feel like work ratting. So generally for us it's pretty much just hanging out and recording, and we generally tend to just get stuff done while we're not actually planning to do anything. It just happens, as like you see how quick I pull out the microphone and stuff. The microphone is nearly always there ready to go, and as soon as anybody pops around, or like someone a producer might call around like I want to see her at the minute, we just end up getting stuff done, so it just kind of works for us. When it comes to the promoting side of things, it's a little bit different. That's kind of my own side of stuff, and then it's pretty much just lots of social media at the minute. Everything is social media when it comes to promoting. So it's a lot of time on the phone, a lot of time on the laptop, and signing in and out of loads of different accounts and trying to remember lots of passwords.
What's happening? My name is Daz. I'm a DJ, MC, producer, work with a lot of music videos and stuff as well, and also the creator of skankfm.com, an online radio station broadcasting worldwide. Work in conjunction with Fifth Element charity, developing 4 elements of hip hop and teaching workshops in them, from breakdancing, graffiti, MCing and DJing. Work alongside Elixir as well with live events and showcases. Moondoggy's clothing, as you can see. So yeah, just quite a deep history in Irish hip hop, particularly in Belfast, for the past 18 odd years. So doing everything from running events to performing as an artist myself, releasing records, working with labels, other artists from all over the world, and a lot of artists from around particularly the north of Ireland and some from down south as well. I came from an era where there was no social media whatsoever, so promoting yourself as an artist was kind of one of those things where you had to physically copy your CDs and put up posters and put up flyers at your night and spread word, and you just about had text messages that worked. So coming into an era of social media, the advantage was it automatically just spread your audience, not to just your local area where you could spread word of mouth, but literally worldwide, and that's an advantage that has really helped me sell a lot of music, and as well as that collaborate with a lot of people from across the globe. I was able to reach someone that I wouldn't have really stood a chance to reach, or would have required a real sort of presence in a different country through their radio or television or media, which was a hard thing to do as an independent artist coming out of Belfast. So when you get social media platforms like that, I could reach a dude in Canada and collaborate with him, or reach a fan in America and give my music to him. So
dedication and want to actually really do it, do you know what I mean? As in, if you're going to invest time in an artist, you want to know that like they want it as much as you do. Like I see lots of artists that do just pop up and do something, and then just because they didn't get the reaction they mightn't necessarily expected them the first time around, then they kind of tend to lose faith and drop off. So yeah, confidence and a genuine want to do it, and like a battle to push through and get through all the shit stuff essentially.
In terms of like a local artist, one thing that we do take pride in is we run an open mic session on our gigs, and for local artists that have come down and performed really well at those usually once or consistently, we like finding places to put them in our lineups to give people something to strive for. Like, oh, they got that through perform well at the open mic, they don't necessarily have any music recorded right now, but that's how they got there. So it like gives people a driving incentive to get involved in the open mic, and then following on from that to record their own music.
Getting a manager as an artist, I wouldn't say is vital. It's a huge help, but again, like with me being a manager for the likes of Citrus and Hazy and some of the lads like that, it just happened to be pure chance thing. I was friends with the guys before I was ever their manager, so it was never meant to be a work type role. But it just happened that way, and it fell in that I was doing bookings and stuff, and the lads were rappers, so it just made sense for me to do it. But it's not necessarily a have to do thing. Like loads of artists are doing it independently, and even me as a manager, we're still kind of doing it independently, because like I might be managing two of the lads, but they're still on PX Music, and PX Music as a platform itself is completely independent. When I was in secondary school, like if somebody told me that they were a rapper, I would have probably like shrugged it off or been a little bit ignorant towards it. But like at the minute, no, like it's a cool thing to do now. It's the likes of Music Gen is, and like there's this Music Gen in Limerick, and there's one in Cork, and they're all over the country, and they're like starting to fill up with all these young rappers that are coming out of nowhere, and it's class, it's deadly. It's no longer a taboo thing to do. It's actually cool to do now, and it's acceptable to say you're a rapper, even though it should never have not been. But now it is. It's a thing. There's a standard, and there's a level there now that is being appreciated, and it's.
I grew up in Johannesburg, South Africa. That's where I was born and raised, and had a great outdoor life, skateboarding and stuff like that. So there was always elements of music involved in skating and stuff like that. When I moved to Ireland, I was about 13 years old, and just the weather in this country really told me I needed to do something indoors, and that's when I found turntables and stuff. Coming up off an estate in East Belfast, my cousins were collecting vinyl and spinning mainly dance and house records at the time, and that's really what got me into DJing, and progressed more so into DJing hip hop myself.
I don't know, I suppose it's easy for me to say don't stress, but like just don't stress, don't let stuff get to you. Like I always say, if I'm not going to remember it 4 years down the line, then it's not worth worrying about. So like things go wrong and you freak out, and everything happens actually just end up working out. Whatever happens, you can't really change it sometimes, so you just gotta write it out and see what happens. But don't panic. Do network and talk to everybody, and go to everything, and go to as much stuff as you can, and talk to people, and just meet new people, and that's how you make connections. Everything in the business is unfortunately who you know, and so get out there and network, talk to people, work with other artists as well. Like talk to other artists, share and like back up other artists' stuff, and like whoever's around you that's supporting you, if they're artists as well, make sure to like support their stuff and push all their stuff, and just be somebody within the scene that everybody appreciates.
Everybody, take your seats. You come first. The carrots. You know what to do now, bro.
Sure. It's fire in the green room, bro.
Yeah, Feeling numb is nothing new to me, I'm used to it. And them pills don't help, I'm immune to them. And the liquor don't help, but I can't help it. Sipping on some banshee till I hear the wailing in my head. Is how I know shit's coming to the end. I used to trust other people till I figured out friends don't really mean friends. Trapped in a vicious cycle cause my circle trying to pull me back to square one again. My back to the wall, who can I call out for help when everybody that I trusted is going for my neck? Trying to plot and escape. Move out west to an estate with a plot of land full of crap to get me baked. I'll be gone, it won't be ever coming back. But before that day comes, I put my city on the map. Cause my city really raised me and made me who I am. A pale poet with a pen with the heritage of patriots that died for this land. Not many of that same pedigree left. Not many of that same